Before the river has a name, it is only the movement of water. Before the bird is called bird, it is only the unfathomable act of flight. Before the self is called me, it is only the open expanse of being. We live so deeply entangled in the web of words that we forget there was ever a time before them, not chronologically, but in the quiet depth of this very moment. Nisargadatta Maharaj invites us to notice that before a single thought appears, before the machinery of the mind begins its work, there is something already here, silent yet awake, empty yet full, unmoving yet alive. This is not a mystical realm hidden in a far-off dimension. It is the unadorned facts of your own awareness, the space in which thoughts arise and dissolve. The mind is like a painter who rushes to fill a blank canvas with familiar shapes and colors, unable to bear its emptiness. Yet the canvas is always prior to the image, untouched by whatever appears upon it. To rest in this space before thought is to discover that peace does not come from the rearrangement of ideas, but from stepping back into the clarity in which they appear. In that clarity, judgment loses its urgency, naming loses its grip. You begin to see the world without the dust of interpretation, as though you have been looking through glass smeared with fingerprints, and suddenly it is wiped clean. There is a paradox here. The mind cannot grasp what is before it because grasping itself comes too late. The instant you try to seize the pre-thought space, it has already become another thought. It can only be recognized in the simple act of not interfering, of noticing the gap between the end of one thought and the beginning of the next, and realizing that you are still present there. Many traditions have hinted at this. Zen speaks of the original face before your parents were born. Taoism calls it the nameless Tao, the source of 10,000 things. But Nisargadatta's pointing is disarmingly direct. You are that. You are not the thoughts, the stories, or the passing weather of the mind. You are the sky in which they appear. Consider for a moment the breath you are taking right now. Notice that it is happening without your command. You may place your attention on it, but you are not the one making it happen. This is the nature of awareness before thought. It does not need the mind to exist, and it does not wait for permission to be. When we begin to sense this, a strange relief comes. You realize you are not required to hold the world together with constant thinking. The world knows how to be without your interference, and you too know how to be without the incessant commentary. In the quiet space before the first word, there is no problem to solve, no identity to defend, no future to secure. There is only the fullness of now. Yet the mind will ask, but how can I stay here? How do I make it last? And here lies the trap. The very question pulls you back into the realm of concepts and time. You cannot stay in the space before thought, for staying is a movement of the mind. You can only notice it again and again, until the noticing becomes as effortless as breathing. Perhaps the deeper question is not how to remain there, but how to recognize that you have never left. You have never left the space before thought, but you have dreamed yourself into forgetting. Like a fish searching for the ocean, we wander through the tides of our own awareness, convinced it is somewhere else. In the mind's story, there is always movement, a sequence, a before and after, a pursuit. But the space in which the story unfolds is not bound by its timeline. Nisargadatta would sometimes say, "You are not in the world is in you." Not in you as a body, but in you as the vast field in which all appearances rise and fall. When this is seen, even for a fleeting instant, something shifts. You begin to notice that thoughts are like clouds drifting across a limitless sky. The clouds may be dense, stormy, or scattered, but they never stain the sky itself. The awareness in which they move remains unstirred, without preference for clear weather or tempest. From here, life acquires a different texture. Ordinary moments stop hiding behind their labels. A chair is no longer just a chair. It is an intricate expression of form arising in the stillness that holds all form. The sound of footsteps in a hallway is no longer background noise. It is the pure music of this moment, before being divided into meaning. And yet, the mind resists this simplicity. It thrives on complexity, on the notion that something is missing, that there is somewhere else to get to. But the space before thought is untouched by this restlessness. It does not need improvement. It is already whole, even when the mind trembles with uncertainty. Psychology might speak of the unconscious, that hidden reservoir beneath conscious awareness. But the space we are pointing to is not hidden at all. It is the very light in which both the conscious and unconscious appear. To try to reach it is like a candle searching for fire. Resting here does not mean abandoning the world or renouncing thought. Thoughts continue to arise, actions still occur, the play of life unfolds as before. The shift is in knowing that you are not limited to the role you play in this unfolding. You are the stage upon which every role appears. You are the silence that gives every word its meaning. Even suffering, when seen from here, changes its shape. Pain may still be felt, but without the story that magnifies it, without the resistance that tightens around it, pain can simply be what it is, a passing ripple in the boundless ocean of awareness. Freedom is not the absence of waves. It is knowing yourself as the water. There is a strange humility in this recognition. You see that nothing needs to be claimed as mine, because nothing was ever separate enough to be possessed. The tree outside your window, the sensation of your heartbeat, the warmth of the sun on your skin, all of it arises in the same unbroken field. The division between inner and outer begins to dissolve, and with it, the sense of being a fragile fragment adrift in a vast, indifferent world. And perhaps this is the quiet secret Nisargadatta was pointing to. That the peace we long for has never been absent, only overlooked.
But if awareness is always here, always whole, then why does the pull of identification return so easily? Why do we keep forgetting the open sky and falling back into the clouds?
We forget the open sky and fall back into the clouds because the mind is a master storyteller and its stories are convincing. They speak in the voice of urgency, of unfinished business, of something just out of reach. They promise a final arrival somewhere in the future if only we keep moving. Yet the truth Nisargadatta points to does not live in the future, nor does it dwell in the past. It cannot be gained because it was never lost. The space before thought is not a prize to be earned. It is the very ground from which every step is taken, even the steps that seem to lead away from it. It is like searching the house with a candle, not realizing you are looking for the light you already hold in your hand. The seeking itself is lit by the awareness you are seeking. The question, the longing, the journey, all of them appear in the same field that does not come or go. When this is seen, even for a breath, there is a quiet joy that needs no reason. It is not the joy of possession, but the joy of recognition, the familiar warmth of returning to a place you never truly left. From here, even the ordinary glows. The pattern of shadows across a wall, the scent of rain on stone, the slow rhythm of your own breath. Each is a doorway to the same boundless stillness. Life does not become something else. It simply shines without the film of interpretation. And in this seeing, a deeper humility blossoms. You realize that awareness does not belong to you. You belong to it. The you who believed they were a separate observer dissolves into the seamless whole, the way a wave merges back into the ocean without losing its beauty. Some may call this awakening. Others may call it simply living without resistance. Words do not matter much here, because the truth is not in the naming. It is in the silence before the name, the space where all meaning rests uncarved. This is not an escape from life. It is the heart of life itself. To rest in awareness prior to mind is not to stand apart from the world, but to be so intimately one with it that the division between self and world no longer makes sense. Every sound, every sight, every sensation is simply what it is, not a threat, not a possession, not a problem to solve. And so the invitation is not to chase this state, but to notice it now. The noticing is the being. The being is the freedom. Because the quiet you long for has been here through every noise. The stillness you seek has never been absent, even in the storm. The home you yearn to find is the one you have been standing in all along. If these words have stirred something in you, let them ripple outward, not as noise, but as a shared stillness. Your presence here matters more than you know. If you feel called to walk further into these waters with me, I welcome you to linger, to join this space, to keep this conversation alive. And perhaps in the gentle act of staying connected, we might remember together what has never been forgotten.